right, first up, let's give it up for all the comments you've seen so far. Give it up for Ty and Anna for organizing this event. Give it up for the food, man. Because I do a lot of shows all over the place, and they'll give us something to eat, and it's usually like fried and nasty, so thank you very much. One more time for them. So my name is Dave Pursue. I travel all around doing comedy, and you know, it's funny because here we are. It's a church show, which is a little bit different for me. Although I was a deacon in my church, and it's Valentine's Day, and it made me realize something, that you guys are all out here celebrating Valentine's Day, right? Sure. Sure. None of you guys want to buy the cards, do you? But I realized something, okay? Being in a relationship long term, when you're early in that relationship, the kissing is much more passionate, isn't it? It's much more passionate. It's almost like, you know, it's like you're a contestant in the watermelon eating contest. And that's just the women. The guys are more like the Tasmanian devil. They're like, you got slobber all over you and everything. You're like, oh, jeez. And then years change, and it gets a little bit more sedate. So finally, it's kind of like this. Hi, honey. And that's it. That's all it moves to. And you're like, what happened to that before? Last night, I took my girlfriend out for our anniversary, 4th year anniversary last night. Thank you. We went out to Yard House for dinner, right? Had a nice dinner and everything. And right in the middle of dinner, I planted one on her like I used to, just blah, 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 blah. And she's like, oh my gosh, such a public display of affection. I'm like, well, actually, I was trying to get the broccoli on your teeth. But things change, you know. As a matter of fact, we got a good group here. We got a good group of people. Got a little mix of everybody. Let's just check age-wise. If you're in your 60s or over, make some noise right now. Oh, that's it. Honey, with the hearing problem. He's talking to us now. No, I get it, because I've lost my hearing. I'm 70% deaf in this ear and 40 in this one from an accident. We'll talk about that later. But I get that, you know. And here's the thing. Being that age, in your 60s and older, you know, stuff starts to happen. You start to develop medical problems. And you start talking about them in public, you know, like things like, you know, bladders, you know. And the bladder, it's one of three things that happens. It's either good, bad, or depends. Because let's face it, ladies, it's one hard sneeze or a drop kick. Hey, I'll be right back. And then where's my people in their 50s at? Where's my 50s? I turned 50 not too long ago. You know what the best thing about turning 50 is?
We're not 60 yet.
That's right. Wait, who said that? What did you say? I'm going to pray for healing for this man to shut up right now. Know your place, sir. Know your place, and that is not it. I'm telling you right now. Holy cannoli. No, the best thing about turning 50 is nothing. It's like the senior citizens version of an 18, because at 18 you can vote, and at 18 you can go to war, but you're not really an adult yet till you're 21 and you can buy a beer. At 50, AARP sends me garbage every week telling me how old I am. So I believed them. I joined. Guess what? I'm not old enough to be in the club yet. And I found it out in the most embarrassing way. I tried to order off the senior menu at Denny's. I got carded. I had a bad
though. Just like when I was 18, I got a fake ID.
And I found out all it is, it's a Happy Meal for old farts. That's all it is. Smaller portions, comes with prizes too, like preparation aid for volunteers.
Buddy in the red, don't mix those up. You will glue your rear end shut. And you look like one of those girls doing selfies. And God forbid you pass gas. Because the pressure just builds up and goes, fire! People are hitting the ground thinking it's a drive-by. Oh, just maybe sorry about that.
Now, I told that joke at another Christian event I was at, and I said the medications, right? And this guy yells out, Viagra! I'm like, well, I'll tell you what we'll do for you, sir. I said, thank you from the impotent gentleman, first of all. I said, hopefully we can pray for you after the show, and it'll be just like Lazarus. We can get you to rise in 3 days also.
That shut him down.
All right, where's my people in the 40s at? Yeah, now it's your turn. All right, let's talk about you for a second. Because here's the thing, when this guy was in his 30s, he could walk around and girls in their 20s would look at him like, ooh, he's looking at me. But as soon as he turned 40, they're like, ew, he's looking at me. But ladies, you get better looking in your 40s and you attract more men than you've ever attracted. Let me hear the women in their 40s.
Guess the rest of them got dates tonight.
Yeah, you attract more men than you've ever attracted in your life. Unfortunately, the other friends of your children.
Welcome to Cougarville.
It's like 5 years earlier, it's like, gosh, Mrs. Johnson, thanks for the cookie. Really, your mommy's so nice? And I was like,
Dude, your mom is smoking hot. Your dad ever dies and your parents get divorced, I'm in there.
where's my 30-year-olds at? Where's the 30s?
Yeah, 30s, man, 30s. You guys are just glad to be away from your kids right now, man.
And here's the thing about being in your 30s is you're going into really getting serious about adulthood. You know, you're getting heavy in your careers, you're getting your first or second home, and if you're Latina, you're becoming a grandmother.
Everybody say hi to Grandma.
My girlfriend's Latina and she hates that shit. I'm like, honey, didn't you become a grandmother in your 30s? What were you, 38? She's like, no, I was 39.
Oh, snuck in just under the wire.
Where's my 20-year-olds at?
Obviously, security's not working tonight. One got in.
No, but 20s, here's the thing. All of us born before you, well, hate's a strong word, but we can't stand you. Because you're young, you've got it going on, you're in good shape, you can do anything and feel fine the next day. You know, you can go out, all right, for anybody that used to drink, you can go out and drink all night long, get up the next day and not have a hangover. I'm in my 50s, I take a shot of NyQuil and 3 days later I'm coming out of a coma. Any teenagers in here?
Really? The daycare's over there.
I'm saying something really mean right now. What's the matter? Didn't the daycare take EBT?
jacked up. Jacked up. That's messed up. What's that? Oh, don't throw her under the bus. I'm just glad to see her here. I mean, apparently Black History Recruiting Month is working very well.
We have one. She's with one.
Hey, man, you guys are messing. And getting older is tough. Getting older is tough. I didn't mean to look like this. When I was 40, I had no gray hair. By the time I'm 50, there's snow on top of the mountain and it's starting to work its way down. By the time I'm 60, it's going to look like an aquarium squirrel. It's sitting in my lap. Hugging a hot dog. I'm sorry, the Pinot Grille hugging a chorizo. By the time I'm 70, the boys will be hanging down a little bit lower, look like Jay Leno's chin with mutton chops. And by the time I'm 80, they'll be between my knees, and for the old guys here, you know what I'm going to say? You can play with them like click-clacks, you know? And that's the thing, they hold on as long as they can. I mean, you know, matter of fact, you're going to sit forward in the seat like this guy right here, you know? He sits down, he has to slide. Because you've never seen. Not that kind of church, buddy, relax. No, that's okay. Hey, we can talk about the Songs of Solomon and everything. I was just talking. This is not a San Francisco church, okay? I'm not doing that. No, but it's just, you know, and here's the thing, you know, they hold on. They hold on as long as they can. Gravity takes effect. You know, it's like they're doing a pull-up when you're young. They're like, everything's good. When they start getting a little bit tired over the years. Can't hold on. And suddenly they're hanging down in a place that you never thought they'd be. I was doing a show up in San Francisco. I went into the bathroom to do my business. Before the show, I sat down. There was a tingling feeling down here. My nuts were in the water. Pick them up, start drying them off. Suddenly they came tablet again. They were worry beads, you know? Forgot what I was doing, got distracted, rolled them, crapped out. And that's a tough thing, man, because, you know, getting older has its good sides too, but it has its rough sides. Matter of fact, when I'm single now, I didn't expect to be single at this age, you know? Got divorced, it's a bad thing. But when I first got engaged, right, who's married in here? Make some noise. Right, who's with their significant other and not married right now? You better hit big on Tuesday. I'm sorry. You know, when I got engaged, I was a paramedic for American Ambulance. Used to work on the Star Rescue Team, right? Had some wild stuff happen with that, but when I got engaged, my fiance was a nurse in the hospital. And we go into the hospital to get her paycheck, and she goes, and I bought her the best ring I could, right? I mean, paramedics don't make a lot of money. I got her this ring, and she goes like this. Let me tell you something right now. It's going to happen to every guy in here. You're going to get engaged, and she's going to find a friend that has a bigger and better ring, and she's going to point it out to you. What? 3 weeks, that's all it took for me. 3 weeks, and I look at the ring Cindy got, and Cindy holds up this gargantuan ring, and I'm like, oh my God. And Cindy goes, yeah, this is what you get when you're an amazing lover. And I went, really? And I looked at my fiancé and said, see what you could have had. That's as crazy as I'm going to get with that stuff. And then you get married, you get strange in-laws. Who's got strange in-laws? Make some noise. These your in-laws right here? If that's your in-law, yeah, you're right. I'm feeling sorry for her. No, she's fine. She's in the club. This guy, I don't know. You get
strange in-laws. I had a sister-in-law that she was all earthy, you know, she had like the hairy armpits and the hairy legs.
Oh yeah, you know, and then
She worshipped the moon goddess, and she was all into Mother Earth, and she got all her powers from crystal meth.
yeah, try having a conversation with a meth tweaker at Christmas. You know, we throw the best stuff in the dumpsters away. We're not taking any presents from you, okay? And then my father-in-law, that guy was a real piece of work. My father-in-law came and stayed with us after our fourth child was born, my son Nicholas. And he stayed with us, and here's the thing. My wife was a flight nurse on a helicopter and used to go work 24-hour shifts, okay? So she had to pump before she left because we believe in breastfeeding, right? So here she is, and ladies, if you've ever done it, you know the sound that wow, 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 wow. You put on this Madonna cone bra with this tube coming off of it, and you're like, and it starts going wow, 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 and it starts pulling it down the tube, and you're like, oh my God, if I ever did that to her, she'd beat the crap out of me. Seriously. You probably don't know. So we're sitting one day and I'm watching this whole thing happen. It's like, wow, 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 wow. It's like 6 inches long. And I'm like, oh my God, that looks just like the erasers we used to use in elementary school. All of that to get this tiny cup of milk for the baby, right? I come downstairs, my father-in-law is pouring that milk into his coffee. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? That is breast milk from your daughter. That is wrong on so many levels. And he goes, it's sweeter. I'm like, I don't care. That's still wrong on so many levels. He goes, try it. It was good. We had mocha mama lattes every day after she went to work. That's why my son sounds like Forrest Gump now. He's like, Dad, what happened to me? You didn't get enough breast milk, son, but that stuff was good. And then you have kids. If you have kids, sometimes they go to comedy shows with you, but other times they... When you have kids, when they're young, they follow you everywhere, don't they? Everywhere. God forbid you go into the bathroom and shut the door, because the next thing you know, there's little fingers underneath. What you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Daddy's pooping. Please give me some privacy. You know, and then and they just hang on everything you're doing. You know, I took my kids, my 2 youngest ones. Emily was 4, Nicholas was 3 at the time, and I took them swimming. They went into the pool, we swam all day, everything was cool, we got out. Now, being a good dad, what's the first thing you do? Change the kids first, right? So I got the kids changed, then I go back into my bathroom to get changed. Drop my trunks, turn around, there's my 4-year-old daughter standing right there. Sees me in all my full glory, and I'm like, ugh. She looks right at it. Nicholas got one of those. Yes, I know. His is bigger. Water's cold, leave me alone. And then as your kids get older, stuff starts to change with them, right? They become little adults and they think they know everything, right? I got new tennis shoes the other day, white tennis shoes, Skechers, standard issue for any guy over 50. And I'm like, hey, I turned to my oldest daughter, I'm like, what do you think of my new shoes? She goes, nice dorky dad shoes. Oh, really? She goes, do they give you good support? I said, better than my children. And then sometimes, I mean, some of us, before we were saved, we weren't all that good of people, right? We used to, do some things, right? But sometimes my past comes out with my kids when I least expect it. I don't know, it just happens. My daughter's working on her math homework the other day. With my youngest one, she's like doing the stuff, she's trying to convert fractions and she doesn't get it. She goes, Dad, I don't know how to do this. I said, what's the question? She goes, what's an eighth convert to? And I'm like, 3.5 grams. She goes, what? I said, I don't know, $50. $120 if it's white. And there's all the unsaved people that came. And she goes, what are you talking about? And that's when I realized, oops, I screwed up. I'm like, is this a word problem? She goes, no, it's 6th grade math. I said, that's the problem, honey. I'm teaching you high school and college math. My high school student came up to me, she goes, Dad, did you smoke marijuana in high school? Every day. She goes, when was the last, I said, college too. She goes, when was the last time you got high? I'm like, well, let's see, college is back in the 80s, so 45 minutes ago. Just messed up stuff with that. And then, like, my daughter tonight, my youngest one is actually the one that was in 6th grade at the time, is now a freshman in high school. And she went to her Sadie Hawkins dance tonight. And, yeah, that's why I was late coming in. I was getting pictures beforehand. And they were going they had to go as a theme, right? So they were Daphne and Freddie from Scooby-Doo. So cool. But here's the thing. I'm looking at this little boy like, I'm saved, but I'll kill you. Because I can pray for forgiveness. His mom's looking at me like, you better not do anything. My other daughter, she's away in college now. She's living in Arizona. And when she went to her senior prom, she's like this. She's like, Dad. We went over to take the pictures, right? Before the dance. She's like, Dad, don't embarrass me. She goes, these people are super conservative. I mean, it was this nice house in Clovis and everything. And, she goes, they're ultra conservative. I'm like, I was a deacon in the church. I did financial planning. She goes, just don't embarrass me. I'm like, game on. Because you got to do that stuff with your kids. My daughter's telling me, my 19-year-old is now telling me that things are different than when I grew up. She's having problems at school right now. She's like, Dad, I'm having problems with my classes and this and this and this and da 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 da. And I'm like, well, why don't you just try these steps? And she goes, it's not like that anymore. It's not like when you were a kid. It's not like when you were in school. I'm like, okay, fine. So then she just calls me yesterday and she's like, Dad, I need money. And I'm like, it's not like when you lived here. It's not like that anymore. Welcome to adulthood, honey. Yeah, it's all good. So I told you I used to be a paramedic for American Ambulance. When I was working for American Ambulance, I moved here when Fresno was #1 in DUIs, murders per capita, and #1 in car theft. Matter of fact, in Fresno, recently the deputy police chief got arrested for selling drugs. I know, I'm upset about it too. He was my best connection. Then we have the Fresno State student that got caught going into the barn on campus in the Animal Science Division, and they caught him, all right, this just was in the paper, okay? It's been a while, but I'm not saying anything, this is not a joke. He got caught trying to have sex with a sheep. And here's the thing, he brought lubricant with it, which means it wasn't his first sheep. Now, I just wish sheep could talk because it'd be just like Bill Cosby, because they'd go around and interview those sheep and be like, oh, did you see what happened? He goes, it was bad. He really hated me. I knew that joke was a stretch for this crowd. Shouldn't have done that joke. Well, if I could take it back there, but it's too late. But the best one was the same week that the deputy police chief got arrested. An 87-year-old man was arrested in Fresno for fondling himself in public and then was taken to jail. And while he was in jail, he had a cerebral aneurysm. And just once, I wish I was editor of the paper, because the headline would run, man strokes himself, then strokes, himself. Thank you, English majors. No, because I told that joke at a Narcotics Anonymous convention up at Chico, and those backwood ditchbank Okies had no idea what it was. One guy's like, what's a comma? And I'm like, something you've been in for the last 20 years. Oh, okay, I do. But when I moved here on the rescue team, we had patients that were living proof that Darwin was wrong. There's no way that we evolved to be that stupid. had a woman one time, I said, ma'am, are you allergic to any medication? She said, tuna. I'm like, really? Tuna? Maybe she didn't hear me. I'm like, oh, you know, her husband wasn't there to nudge her, you know? I'm like, are you allergic to any medication? She goes, I told you tuna. I said, what exactly did the doctor prescribe the tuna for, ma'am? She goes, I told you I can't have no tuna. I said, what's your favorite fish? Penicillin? Oh, it's like being back up at Chico again. So then I had this other patient that wanted to go to the hospital just because he was out of his medication. He wanted to take an ambulance to the hospital because he thought he'd get seen quicker. And it was just like, oh, just used to, that was my biggest pet peeve. And it was 5 o'clock in the morning, right? 5 o'clock in the morning. We hadn't even been to bed yet from 7 o'clock the day before, running all night. And I pull up and he goes, hey, I go, what's wrong with you? He goes, I don't feel good. I said, so what? Neither do I. He goes, I need to go to the hospital. I'm out of my medication. I'm like, dude, we're an ambulance. Can't you just take the bus? He goes, I have my Medi-Cal card. You have to take me. I said, all right, fine. Come around to the back of the ambulance. He comes around to the back of the ambulance. I said, what kind of medical history do you have? He goes, I'm a bipolar schizophrenic with multiple personality disorder. I said, okay, what kind of medication you take? I don't remember. So I said, does the other guy? He looks at me and he goes, that's not funny, man. So I went, well, not to you. He goes, I'm not going with you. And I said, then either's the other guy. And he took off running and we canceled, you know, it was great. I hadn't seen him in like 20 years, but it's really good to see him. So you're back on your meds and everything's all good. It's all good. And then when I was, you know, as a dad, you do stuff with your kids, right? That's your job. One of the worst jobs as a dad is taking your kids into a public bathroom, right? That's the worst. Especially if you've got to take your daughters into the men's room. Guys, you agree with me on that one? Yeah, because you go in there and they're looking at that stall on the wall and they're like, I'm supposed to sit in that? No. Guys in there are like, hey, get her out of here. Get her out of here. Like, dude, she's 3. Relax, man. She's not, you know, so as they go in. My son, I had to take him to the bathroom. I took him to Dodger Stadium, right? Because my dad took me when I was a little kid. I took my son for the first time. First of all, any Dodger fans in here, make some noise. Yeah, right on the hat. LA stands for Lost Again. That's what you've been doing since 1988. Giants fans, let me hear you. Wow, it's rough being an outcast. So anyway, I take my son to Dodger Stadium because that's the first place my dad took me. And my son had to go to the bathroom when he was 4 years old. Now, at Dodger Stadium, this man with a beard will testify that all there is in the men's room, it's a trough, right? A trough gets a 4-year-old right here. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I didn't want to wait for the John, so I just pulled his pants down and held him up. And he's going. Everything's good. And here's the thing, you can't look left, you can't look right, you don't want to look down. You're like, I'm just waiting. And I'm like, are you done? And he goes, yeah. And guys, what do we got to do when we're done? Shake it. So I just did this with my son. He's like, Daddy. Starts peeing again. Guys are like, hey. So then we're after church one Sunday. We're after church and we went out to Famous Dave's to have Sunday brunch, right? And we're out there and my son's like, Dad, can you take me potty? So I'm like, okay, fine. And here's the thing, I took him potty. And this time he wanted to sit down because I think he was still traumatized over the Dodger Stadium thing. And there's a thing about changing boys when they're little, you know? You open up the diaper, you give it some air, and you close the diaper because the fire hose is going to go off. All right? Learn that quick. He never got me when he was little. So here he is. I sit him down on the toilet. He's right in front of me. Are you good to go? And he goes, yeah. And he started to go, and he didn't tuck his winky in. And he shot me right in the chest. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I'm sorry. There's winds flying everywhere. And here's the thing. I had to give him grace because it was right after church, right? Plus, he was just a little kid. I think he was, 17 or 18 at the time. He hates that joke. Left the mark of Zorro on me. I had to take my sweatshirt off. I come out into the restaurant. My wife's like, why'd you take your shirt off? I'm like, ask Zorro here. That's straight. But here's the thing. I'm going to talk about two things in closing. And it has to do with what's going on right now. Okay, one of the things is this. My pastor at my church, okay, church I went to was, oh gosh, I had another church show I was going to do too. Shucks. Okay, I got three things, okay? Are we good with three things? Okay. We moved to Bakersfield. And we had to try to find a new church. And we went to the Southern Baptist Church, right? And the pastor's out there, and he's doing his sermon, right? And he's trying to make a point how God sees everything that on inside out versus man who only sees what we project, right? So he's doing this whole thing, and he goes, because what you guys don't know is that right now, and he takes off his loafer, I have this hole in my sock, and his toe was sticking through, right? And so everybody laughs and stuff like that, and he goes, now, the thing is, while I was getting ready for this sermon, I cut the hole in my sock, and it was way too big, so he takes off the other loafer, and his whole foot's sticking out. So we go out to Sunday brunch afterwards, and my daughter was 4 at the time, and she goes like this, the pastor and his family happen to walk into the same restaurant. And my daughter goes, Dad, look, it's the guy with the holes in his socks.